Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Shearer, the host of the Winning Women Talk Show, and I'm so glad that you have joined us this evening for another episode of Winning Women. And for those of you who have been regular viewers and listeners, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. I hope you, if it is evening for you, that you had a chance to have your dinner before watching this show. And no matter what your time zone or which continent you're on, we're just always glad that you're here with us on the Winning Women Talk Show. If you're a regular, you know every week we try to give you the journey taken by a different woman in a different field, sharing those things that she's passionate about and why she does what she does. And as she shares those things, we hope each and every week that you hear something that motivates you, inspires you, amazes you, even. But most of all, if you're in that place yourself where you're not sure that you want to continue doing what you do, but have always wanted to do something else, I hope that you hear something tonight from our guest that'll make you say, you know what? And here's that phrase, if she can do it, so can I. And so, as you're listening, we also want you to participate. Each and every week, we invite you to contact us with any questions or comments you have for our guest. You can call us at 781 384 5587. I'm going to give that to you again, 781 384 5587. Or if you're phone shy, feel free to email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com, because we would love to hear from you and know your thoughts, hear your questions, and your comments. I am always excited to introduce my guests each week, and this one I'm particularly excited about because of the things that she does. She is Mary Howard, and she's a physician's assistant who provides psychiatric consultation, and she specializes in psychiatric behavioral health at nursing homes, rest homes, rehab centers, and assisted living facilities for Health Drive, which is in Framingham, Massachusetts. She's also an active member of the African Heritage Physician Associate Caucus, and she serves as secretary, a delegate, scholarship committee member, and co chair of the Leadership Development Committee. In addition to the clinical practice she's in, Mary works with the nonprofit organization called Mothers Against Violence in Hartford, Connecticut, which provides support to victims and survivors of violent crimes, organizing mental health workshops, presenting at statewide conferences, participating in community outreach events, and on the side, writing grants. She plays a vital role also with the Hartford hospital based violence intervention program collaboration. Her passion is advocating for the reduction of healthcare disparities and promoting the physician assistant profession. Prior to this type of work, she was an optometric assistant and an administrator of two assisted living facilities. Mary is the second vice president of membership for the Greater Boston section of the National Council of Negro Women. She's an AKA sister, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and a mentor of undergraduate students at her alma mater, which is the University of Miami. And that's where she earned her undergraduate degree as a dual major in biology and exercise physiology, and her master's in public health with a specialization in health policy and management. I'm sorry, she did that at Florida International University, and her master's as a physician assistant from the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences University. So much more to her, but she's going to tell us the rest all on her own. Welcome, Mary, to the Winning Women Talk Show.
Thank you for having me.
We are really happy to have you here this evening. There's a lot to who you are and a lot to what you've done so far in life. And so before we get into those things, tell us a little bit about you and your background, where you're from, and growing up, education, and what put you on the trajectory that has landed you in this physician assistant role.
Great. Well, I am from Miami, Florida. I am the oldest of four children. I have a brother, two sisters. Both of my parents are retired teachers. So education was always a top priority in our household.
Yeah.
And excellence wasn't optional, it was expected. So while many of my family members have actually gone to college, I'm the first to pursue this specific profession.
Oh.
Yes. So my brother also entered healthcare as a chiropractor. So service and care for others truly runs and resonates within my family.
Hmm.
Um, that's where I'm from, Miami, Florida. Um, as far as my education, we did kind of go down the list. I earned my undergraduate degree from the University of Miami. Go Canes! We were just in the national championship. Um,
I know, go, go, go. Right.
so I earned a dual major bachelor's of biology and exercise physiology. I was actually pre med at that time, and I fully planned to become a physician. However, after graduating, I took time off to apply to medical school. And during that time, I realized that I didn't really have the guidance and preparation to do so properly. So at that stage, I just still knew I wanted to practice medicine. Um, so I became interested in community health and healthcare systems, which led me to my master's in public health, policy and management, and I did earn that from Florida International University.
Yeah.
And so I continued on, started working, and during my time as administrator, I was exposed to the PA profession, and then everything like just clicked for me.
Yeah.
And that's when I went on to earn my master's of physician assistant studies at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Science, or MCPHS University now.
Yeah.
Um, that's
Right.
only called.
Right. Well, I applaud you because very seldom do people get master's and postmaster's degrees, more than one at least.
Yeah.
And yet you did. And so the thing that you've told all of us, viewing and listening, is that you are a learner. You love to learn.
Yes.
And I can understand that with two parents who are teachers. Oh,
Mhm.
was there pressure in that growing up? Did you feel pressure?
Um, yes and no. I did receive pressures to a certain extent. My mom always pushed healthcare and medicine, and just kind of really instilled that within us. But as you mentioned, I'm a lifelong learner. I actually love learning. I actually love going to school. If I could do that as a profession, I probably would, but financially, that does not bode well.
Right.
So for me, it wasn't that much of a pressure. I kind of put on some pressure on myself in that, excellence was the key for me. So just always trying to exceed and excel. And, really it was more so just, like I said, putting pressure on myself.
Yeah. Well, as an educator myself, did anyone else of your other siblings follow the teaching path or?
No, not of my siblings though.
Okay. Well, just curious. Just
I
curious.
have a cousin that's a teacher, and then so yeah, within my family there are other teachers, but just not within my immediate family.
So when you were in optometrics and also an administrator of two assisted living facilities, was that during your public health, and
Great.
policy time or?
So one thing I will say that I found was just kind of looking back, every job that I've had was healthcare related,
Yeah.
and each one kind of played a role in shaping my path to becoming a physician associate slash physician assistant.
Mm.
So after graduating undergrad, I think I took off maybe a year. Then I started to work as an optometric technician. And during that time, that kind of gave me early patient care experience, and it helped me actually meet PA school requirements later on. I didn't know that would um, be something that I would need. So that was that. And then while I was an optometric technician about 3 years or so, um, that's when I knew I needed more. I wanted more. So that's when I went on to pursue my master's in public health. So I was still working there as I pursued that degree.
Mhm.
Once I graduated from the MPH school, I became administrator of assisted living facilities. Um,
Right.
and I worked there for 5 years, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would say that that role in particular really exposed me to medicine even more and really like ignited that flame because I was able to learn more about medications, chronic illnesses, even medical emergencies. Unfortunately, at that time, it's like all hands on deck. So I've had patients that start seizing. They're sitting in the day room participating activities. Kind of have to know how to jump in. Have patients that suffer strokes, heart attacks. So just experiencing that, I kind of knew I was limited in what I would be able to do for them. So that really drove me even more to wanting to be able to be the one practicing medicine. And I
Right.
actually had the opportunity to work alongside primary care providers because the providers would come in, psychiatry, dermatology, podiatry, and more. Um, so I would round with them, ask questions, observe their care, and that really sealed the deal for me. And that's when I began my application after like year
Right.
four or so for PA school.
So out of curiosity, when you get to the residency part of your PA program, were you able to do that in the assisted living facilities you were at, or
So
had you moved on?
that's no. So PA school, after I applied for PA school, I actually was administrator in Florida and I
Mhm.
attended PA school in Massachusetts. And in PA school, it's so rigorous, the coursework, that actually we're not allowed to work.
Okay. All right.
Yes, because it's kind of, so to speak, like med school truncated, going from
Mhm.
like 4 years down to 2.5, depending on the program. So
Right.
there is no time to work. We're in, especially in our learning or didactic year, we are in class from 8 to 5 every day.
Right.
So
When you were in that program, did you have any second thoughts at any time, or were you like, "Okay, this is what it takes. I'm good."
No, I didn't have any second thoughts, but one thing that did come to me was the fact that when I had my clinical rotations, because we have a year of clinical rotations where we go around to different specialties, and we actually, it's more like hands-on training.
Mhm.
And our rotations are with, either the doctors, other PAs, or mid-level providers, NPs, med school students, and residents. And I learned there that I would not be able to do residency. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this was the right choice for me because had I gone down the medical school path and had gone to residency, yeah, I like my sleep, and I cannot be up all night long on
Yeah.
calls and go days and days and days, especially at that time in my life. So.
Was from moving out of biology and exercise physiology into public health and then into the PA program, which one for you, even though you were at different ages and they're different levels, but which one of those was the most difficult experience for you in learning?
Um, I would say PA school only because of the pace. It's very fast paced. It is boatload of information. We're testing at least once, maybe twice a week. So I
Wow.
would say PA school, yeah, it is quite rigorous. And I went to an accelerated program at that on top of it. So I didn't have any breaks because most PA programs will give you a few months here or maybe summer. When we went straight through, so that was really tough.
You were in an accelerated PA program. So you were a full-time student.
Yes,
Yeah, you had to be.
had to be.
I just wanted to say that because if there's anyone viewing or listening who's thinking about being a PA, I don't want you to get scared. You know, if you're a high achiever, as you can already tell Mary Howard is, then the accelerated program is for you. But if but I understand you could take a slower paced version
You
if
can,
it's
but
not.
it's still rigorous nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's still 2.5 years. So
Well, yeah, because it's you're a step away from a physician, right? A MD.
correct.
So I can only imagine. You came to Boston to do that program. Why?
Um, so I when I was I applied to PA schools around the country, and I was accepted to one in Miami actually. But I don't know. For some reason, I knew that I would have to buckle down and really, really focus. And I, of course, love my family, my friends, and the support system I have in Florida. But it would have been difficult for me to concentrate as much as I needed to. I felt from personally. So that's why I came here, and I wanted to change. I never um, lived outside of Florida at that point. So just kind of wanted to try something different.
Uh, did you know anyone up here in New England?
I do. I actually have a family friend that was actually our neighbor growing up. Her family, they moved up to New England a few years before I got here. So but that's in Hartford. So it's still an hour out from where I was. But other than that, I knew absolutely no one.
Okay. Wow. So in your current work, you're moving and in different facilities, but a good number of them are places where you find a lot of senior citizens. And you said something that struck me for a moment, and I wanted to just ask you because as you were talking about the different things that you experienced that made you decide I need to go a step farther in my medical career, and so you went into the PA program. You mentioned about having to be, right there and the emergency situations you can encounter, and that happens in just about all of those facilities that you visit. What I never hear anyone talk about this. Maybe I just missed it. When something happens to any one of the residents, and I know there are young people in rehabs and assisted living facilities, etc. What happens though when one of the residents has an emergency experience in the presence of others? What happens? I know they get taken care of, but what about those who witnessed it? Is there some procedure that addresses the trauma they may have experienced? Because I never hear anybody talk about that.
That's
I
actually
don't hear.
a really good question. Um, I would say it more so depends on the facility. Each facility kind of has their own rules, their own practices.
Mhm.
One aspect of my position as a psychiatric physician assistant or behavioral health manager. And I just want to kind of backtrack real quick for the listeners who may not be familiar with the profession. a physician associate or physician assistant. PAs are licensed medical providers who practice medicine in every specialty and setting. And the profession was actually created in the mid 1960s in response to a shortage, shortage, with the goal of expanding access and quality care. Um, so, as a behavioral health manager, if what the responsibility of the staff at these facilities are to one, know their patients, know their residents, right? And to inform providers such as myself that are coming in, because we're there some hours, a couple times a week, or maybe once a week. So we rely heavily on them to kind of give us information and insight to the patients. So often when I come in, I'll receive referrals from either the social worker, the director of nursing, and even when I go around, I'll talk to the nurses in the units or the unit manager, and they will refer a patient if they feel like there's a patient struggling. If there was an altercation, because there are altercations as well, unfortunately,
Yes.
even amongst the elderly. Um,
Yes.
yeah, I've seen drinks thrown just like on reality TV. It's just all the
Yes.
same. So it's kind of their, I would say, so to speak, responsibility to refer the patient to us. Sometimes, if I know the patient really well, I may ask, what the situation was, and I may probe and prod a little bit only because I have that experience as an administrator on the other side. So I kind of have that insight as to what to also look for. But ultimately, they would be the ones to refer. But I also have patients that will track me down. And if I come in, they know, I am the psych mental health. They're like, hey, I have a problem, which is, kind of good. But so that's how it generally goes.
So in other words, you don't have to worry about going to any facility and not having to see anyone because there's someone looking for you. Is that what you're saying? There's
Yeah.
always someone looking for you. For those of you who have just joined us, you are listening to Mary Howard, and Mary Howard is a physician's assistant working for an organization, Health Drive in Framingham, that at which she literally is like a traveling nurse, but she's a traveling PA, and she uh, is in different facilities where there are patients, residents, who she addresses now in the role of psychiatric and behavioral um, areas that mental health. I'll just put it that way in areas of mental health. And when we come back, because we're about to take a quick break, she's going to talk to us a little bit about mental health. And in the meantime, we'd like to hear you talk to her. And so, again, you're invited. Please don't be shy. Call us at 781 384 5587, or you can email us at Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. So that's 781 384 5587, or email me, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com. Now, we're going to take a very quick break for one of our sponsors. Don't go too far away. We will be right back.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781-338-7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
And we are back with our guest tonight, Mary Howard, who is a physician assistant. And Mary, before you start talking about the mental health issues that you address. Um, there is an email. It says, "Good evening, Mary. Are physician assistants and nurse practitioners in similar roles? I've heard there is a shortage of doctors. Can these two types of physicians fill this gap? And can you do all that a doctor is authorized to do? By the way, as a Black woman, I'm so proud to hear that you are advocating on our behalf. God bless you and thank you."
Awesome. Thank you for that question. So yes, physician and assistants and nurse practitioners do function in a similar role. I would say really the only difference between the two of us is how we have been trained. Physician assistants are trained in the medical model, similar to physicians, whereas nurse practitioners are advanced nurses, so they are trained in the nursing model. Um, Also, with physician assistants, we are trained as general practitioners. So we're able to move about different specialties without going back to school and having additional training. Whereas nurse practitioners, they are sometimes they'll have to go back to pursue further education.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you for answering that question and for uh, thank you for sending the question in, Erica. We appreciate that. I had mentioned before we took our break that because of the work you do, especially in addressing psychiatric and behavioral health, um, in that field, and I'm sure that sometimes you have to expand into some other areas, but in that field, both of those are in the mental health area. And it are you able just to focus on those in those two areas? Because the minute you say behavioral and you just mentioned that there are incidents, um, are you confined to those 2 areas? Do you sometimes find that you extend yourself out beyond that? Or is that primarily what you know you're going to walk into are issues around those 2 areas?
Okay, thank you. I do want to say I missed one point for Erica's question. Yes, NPs and PAs, we are here to fill the gaps of the shortage of physicians because, especially primary care physicians, there's a huge shortage. Less people are going to medical school. So that is one of the major goals of our profession. But to your question, my role is when I enter the facilities is specifically for mental health. Yes, when I see the patients, undoubtedly, I will get a list of everything. Their back hurts, they have a headache, something's wrong with their toe every single time. I do listen to that. I also provide feedback to the primary care team, just because, unfortunately, there are times where some of the patients are not being heard, or, I may be the one person that comes in that talks to them on that level. It's, the nurses come in and see them, but it's more for medication and whatnot. Or they may not feel comfortable telling for some odd reason. I'll go in and they'll tell me this, and then I go talk to the nurse, and they said they didn't tell me. Or I'll ask the patient, "Did you tell your nurse that you have a headache?" So,
Yeah.
and just considering the fact that I am trained as a general practitioner, yes, I do have that other aspect, that other medical antenna that comes up. So sometimes, yes, I'll mention to um, the primary care team, "Hey, do you want to consider that?" Just in case. But yes, my function and my role is mental health. But there are aspects, sometimes the referrals I will receive are for mental health, so to speak. But when I go in and speak with the patient, review their labs or whatnot, I will realize maybe this is more a medical issue that they're experiencing, not a mental health. For example, in elderly, a lot of elderly will experience UTIs. So you'll all of a sudden get a referral for a patient that's experiencing confusion. There's like a really dramatic change in their attitude and their mood. They're really agitated. Um, so when I go in and kind of do some digging and speak with them, I kind of think, hey, maybe this might be a UTI. So I would recommend that actually we get lab workup for a urine analysis to see if it's a UTI. And I would say half the time it is. So sometimes some of the medical issues will manifest as a mental health or psychiatric issue.
Right. So, Mary, just for the sake of someone who may be from a different country or whatever, and isn't familiar with that way of expressing it, can you share with us what a UTI is?
I'm sorry, urinary tract infection.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're used to it here in the States, right? We know that. We know that phrase. There is another email here I'd love to read to you. It says, "Good evening, Mary. Would you please define mental illness for me?"
Okay. Mental illness is basically a decompensation of your could be of your mood, of your cognition. Um, I do want to say that mental health really matters. There's a stigma around seeking mental health care. However, mental health care is just as important as your physical health care. As I mentioned not too long ago, sometimes there is a connection between the two. And there are times where we may be struggling and we may think that it's something physical going on with us, when in actuality, um, there is a change in our mental health. Um, they're deeply connected, I would like to say. And for example, depression doesn't always look like sadness, especially within the Black community, in particular Black women. It can look like fatigue, feeling really tired all the time, sleeping too much. It can look like irritability. It can even look like self criticism or even burnout. So it's important that we kind of key into some of our symptoms and how we're really feeling, just because it may be something that we really want to seek support for. And, asking for help is not a weakness, it's more so wisdom.
Mary, you just enlightened me when you said for Black women that because I remember being told that women don't experience heart attacks the same as men. And when I was told the symptoms, it really surprised me. And now you're talking about depression doesn't necessarily look the same with Black women as it may for other women. I,
Mhm.
I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah, yeah.
Now here's the danger every time I come across someone who's extremely irritable, always tired. I don't want to think they're having a mental health issue. Um, but I appreciated what you said. I think that it's scary for women, and I'm speaking for myself only
Mhm.
because when you talked about we don't want to talk about it if we even start to think we have mental health issues, we shut ourselves down from the very thought, because we are we're socialized to be strong, right?
Mhm.
To take care of business, to be on top of things.
Mhm.
Most of us, and this has nothing to do with intellectual IQ. We are type A personalities. We've got to be in
Mhm.
control. And so when we start seeing things happen or experiencing lapses of memory or um, s- sudden outbursts or whatever, we we just write it off as I'm just stressed right now. Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Even
so how
changes
would you know?
it is really hard. Actually came across a patient today just with our in my questioning, and it was she's a Black woman, and we were kind of going down the lines of the symptoms, just because diagnosing in psychiatry, 9 times out of 10 is just more so about self-reported symptoms to us. So symptoms that you tell us you're experiencing, we put them together and we say, okay, it's this, or that, more than likely. And we were kind of going through the symptomatology, and she's like, well, you know what? I don't know. I may have been depressed. Now that I think about it, you know, earlier in the last year, I think I was actually depressed. So it is difficult, especially in Black women, when it presents in a different way, just because of the stereotypes, of the strong Black women that we kind of have to experience. So I would say if you're just kind of feeling really off, especially for extended period of time, um, several weeks, several months, I would talk to someone and talk to a counselor. Even maybe even if you're religious, talk to your maybe your pastor or whatnot, and they may be able to kind of key in on it and say, oh, I think you should seek medical health care.
Right. Well, I'm glad you said that because when the person asked this question, it made me think as well about really what is it? Because in my mind, for many years, it was the person who's a schizophrenic, right? It's the person, and I hate to say this because not every bipolar person is schizophrenic, but can become that way, right? If they don't get the kind of care or based on what they have, where they are. And so I thought of mental health as people on the spectrum, that's the person with autism. Um, and so I'm sure that many of us viewing and watching have our own opinions of what mental health issues are. Mental health is if you have dementia, senility, right?
Mhm,
Alzheimer's.
mhm,
And we're mostly not thinking about depression or stress, and how. So when someone comes to you or you're dealing with someone and you suggest to them that they might want to engage in a regular counseling session or therapy sessions or for whatever that you've identified, um, is there usually resistance? How do you get them to say okay?
Oh yeah, that is really hard. That is really hard just because, again, because of the stigma. Um, so mental health conditions, it can be kind of broken down. Mental health conditions, they affect our moods, thinking, our behavior. So schizophrenia is more like a psychosis where there are mood disorders, depression, anxiety. Bipolar is a mood disorder. Um, Dementia is more of cognitive, but dementia can also have some psychosis where it'll get to the point where they may be experiencing delusions, hallucinations. That's when they are wanting to get out of here. They need to go to work, or their mother's waiting on them. Um, so when I approach a patient, one thing I like to do and very important is education. Patient education, I say it's key. And I that is one aspect of our profession, physician assistant profession. I would say that kind of separates us is our emphasis on patient education.
Mhm.
So when speaking with the patient, I like to also empower them and get them involved in their care. So I lay out all the options. One thing for a quite a bit of the mental health illnesses, the first line of treatment is actually psychotherapy. It's actually therapy, not medication. So maybe for psychosis or the schizophrenias or schizoaffective, yeah, they need medication because there's just more of like a chemical change. But with some of the mood disorders, or even personality disorders, so everyone says
Mhm.
narcissism, that there's narcissistic personality disorder. It is an actual disorder. Um, the first line of treatment is actually counseling. So I heavily encourage it. So within my company. I come in for the medication management, but I also have a partnering psychotherapist that comes in on opposite days, and they can provide counseling.
That's
So
great.
yeah, so that is one aspect of our behavioral health services that Health Drive provides. So it goes hand in hand. Honestly, majority of the patients we both get referred to, both of us, should I say, if their cognition is really bad, they have very severe dementia. Of course, they can't really benefit from therapy. But everyone else, I try it. I tell them, they'll say, no, 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 no. Doesn't I don't need a quack. I don't need, a shrink. I don't need this. I'm
Yes.
like, okay. How about this? How about I have them come in? You talk to them. If you don't like them, hey, that's it. That's your last visit. But at least, given an opportunity, I would say maybe I'm a 70% with that, where I can kind of successfully get them to talk to the therapist. But there are a lot of patients that tell me, no, I don't need a medication. No, I don't
Oh,
need this, and I'm like,
yes.
clearly you do. You're in bed, the covers are over your head, you haven't eaten in 10 days, you
Yeah.
haven't bathed yet.
Mm,
Let's try something. Uh,
right.
and I also like coming back to them. They'll tell me, no, 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 I don't need it. I don't want it. It's okay. Fine. I'll come and see you next week. So that's really, it's just persistence, I guess I would say.
Yeah. So, for those of you who have just joined us and now are regretting that you didn't catch it from the beginning, you're watching Mary Howard, and she's been talking to us about her work as a physician assistant in the world of psychiatric and behavioral health. Um, I have to take another quick break, Mary. But while I'm getting ready to take that break, we want to again encourage you to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. We still have time to take calls or emails. And so you can reach us by phone at 781-384-5587, or you can email me, Regina at rgbinternetradio.com. We're going to take another quick break. Don't go too far away. We'll be right.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we are back with Mary Howard. Mary, I know we could go on and on. I want to be sure to hit another subject that we mentioned as we introduced you. You do some additional work, and you told me it's part time, and I don't even know how you have part time, but you are doing work, and I would love to hear for you to share with the Mothers United Against Violence organization that you are part of it out of Hartford, Connecticut. Can you tell us a little bit about that work?
Sure. So, Mothers United Against Violence, it's a faith based nonprofit organization in Hartford, Connecticut. And with Mothers United Against Violence, I started out as a volunteer when I first moved to New England. Um, my family friend, um, kind of like my aunt, I would say, she is the president of the organization. So I started out volunteering and just kind of giving my experience and also my background in public health, in community engagement. It was a no-brainer. So she started to find other additional jobs for me within within the organization. So it's kind of a catch-all. Don't necessarily have an official title. One aspect I am involved in is part of the hospital-based violence intervention program of Hartford, Connecticut. So Mothers United Against Violence, just to kind of go back, um, is an organization that provides support and services to victims of violent crimes and their families. We say Mothers United because the majority, unfortunately, are mothers, but we provide services to the children. We provide services to the siblings. We provide services to maybe someone may have lost their husband or their wife. The majority of our clients, unfortunately, they are survivors of a homicide victim. But we also provide service to a range of violent crimes, victims of violent crimes, including domestic violence, even all the way to her stalking, cyberbullying. So within the community, I would say MUAV has been a major pillar of the community, and they kind of engage on different levels, even on the state level. Um, so there's an array of services that we provide. Just pastoral counseling, financial support, even kind of group therapeutic activities. Um, we do preventative services as well. A lot of community engagement, conferences, you name it. It's a lot.
Yeah, but it's a lot that is needed.
Yes.
And I applaud you for doing that because most of us watch TV and we hear the story on the news, teenager shot, or whatever the incident may be, and we feel bad for that moment, and we think about the loss in the family or the impact, because the person doesn't have to have died, but the impact that that violence had on the family or family members, mothers and siblings, all of them, right? And we never stop to think, who's responding to that? Who's going to step in and intervene and show the additional support, because we like to believe family rallies together, but we never ever think about the victim themselves, who survived, right? And the family who was waiting for them to survive, but now that they have, doesn't know how to address what that victim is feeling, right? And that's the work you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. So as soon as there is an incident, members of the MUAV, as we call it, team will be alerted either by the hospital or by the police department, 'cause we work hand in hand with the police department. And someone's dispatched right away, this either the crime scene or to the hospital. And from there, we help the family or the victim along the way. And we keep a lot of our clients are with us for years, and then they become members of the team, and they begin to be a support system to others. So there are also, we help them with applying for burial assistance. There's a
Oh,
Yes, they're able to financially receive that. Um, and the team of Mothers United Against Violence is great. They're there 24/7. I do a lot of more of the administrative, um, but they are there, boots on the ground. They're receiving all the calls day and night. And even if it's just someone that wants to talk, just two of our team members, they actually lost their sons as well. And then the third team member was a victim of gun violence. So they're able to really kind of provide that one-on-one, more, I would say, sympathy than empathy.
so you work in two different organizations addressing the needs of people who may or may not even realize they need help, right?
Correct.
Um, and that's on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, I'm going back to the person who emailed in about what is mental illness. You know, we have this thing called PTSD. People like to associate it primarily with military or law enforcement people, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that can come from the very things you deal with, or the patients that you're dealing with are experiencing that for other reasons, for or whatever reasons. What are some of the taboos around mental health illnesses, mental health issues?
Um, I would say it's more so that it's not important. Unfortunately, in a lot of cultures, and even just within our country, there's a big stigma about mental health. Oh no, I'm not crazy. I don't need your help. And like you mentioned, a lot of it is more so you get the picture of the schizophrenic, unfortunately, that may be experiencing hallucinations. You see them walking around talking to themselves or yelling or what have you. Um, but this stigma leads to negative effects that prevents individuals from pursuing care that they really, really need. These false beliefs that it can be caused only because you've gone through this, you've gone through that. That's why you need that. Something's wrong with you. When all of us at some point in our lives, or even some point in the year, will experience some form of mood dysregulation, or our mood is up, mood is down. We all do at some point. So that's why it's
Mhm.
important that we all take care of our mental health, um,
Right,
just like we would take care of our physical health. So I would say the stigma around it, it's impedes the important care that we would all need.
right, right. So, how does Mary take care of her mental health? Because you deal with things that, and I want to applaud you because it takes. I know this has to be your passion because it takes a special person, right, to be able to deal with this, and you're dealing with it in two different environments, with so what does Mary do at the end of the day to take care of Mary?
Oh, that's a good question. um, I would say I will admit I don't always do the best that I need to. The pot calling the kettle black, right? Um, but I try to one. I like to travel, so I do travel quite a bit. Um,
Good.
Yes, I do love to travel. I would say also just kind of surrounding myself with people that really feeds positive energy into my, mental health, and that, kind of don't weigh me down. I would say that's really important. Um, but I do like take on too much. I am taking on a lot. So just kind of realizing that and recognizing that, I have pursued counseling, so on and off counseling in the past. So um, yeah, I would say, and just doing something that I really enjoy, taking the time out, exercising, that's also
Mhm.
important. That's a booster for your mental health. Getting enough sleep. I'm a great big advocate on that. Actually, our brain needs to regenerate when we're sleeping. So it's important that we receive the proper amount of sleep. Um, so, yeah, that's pretty much what I
Right.
do.
Well, yeah, but I'm glad to hear that because I know I have friends who are engaged in roles where they're dealing with people who are traumatized, um, for various reasons. And some of it can be horrific,
Mhm.
very horrific. And they didn't have to be on the scene to see what happened, but they get the story and they get the picture. And if that's day in and day out, at some point it has to have an impact on you, the person they're sharing this with. And I've always felt that the person that is being told all these things has to have someone to debrief with, or to maybe that's not the word, but someone to help them unload
Mhm.
some of the stress that comes from it, because images speak louder sometimes than words.
Oh yes, yeah. I can really relate to that and understand that. Just working with a lot of my patients and just hearing, even just hearing some of the stories and just seeing the impacts of what took place even in their childhood, and then just how that has impacted their current life. In adulthood, it can be heavy. It can be a lot, or even seeing patients my own age and just how vastly different their life has turned, the trajectory of their life compared to mine, and that could have been me. So it can be heavy. I do, have a great support system, family, friends, my sorors, and then of course my faith. That's very important to me. Starting my day every day, with prayer, meditation, and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the only way I make it to work. And then, but I actually enjoy what I do. I
Okay.
enjoy having the opportunity to interact and interface with my patients. So I think that really helps as well.
Yeah.
And much of it, I leave it there at the facility when I go home. There are some that kind of stick out to me, and some I'm thinking, oh, wake up at night. Okay, need this for this patient, but that doesn't happen often.
And then my last question, because believe it or not, our time has come and gone. But what is it that will make you laugh every day?
Um, Well, reels on Instagram. I have to do that. I have to go through, I have to scroll. I don't take too long because I have so much work to do. But I do take the time to scroll. I don't doom scroll, but I scroll and I find something that will make me laugh, or, in my group chats with my friends, my family, my sorors.
Oh,
We're sending
good.
each other these funny stories, or, watching a comedy. I do tell myself, okay, this day I'm watching a comedy, so I'll put that on. So, yeah.
Because we all need to smile and we all need to laugh.
Yes.
And I again, you have taught me a lot tonight. I learned some things I never would have even thought about. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your role in the lives of people who, for many reasons, are people where health disparities are a common challenge in their lives. But you're going in, letting them know there's a professional here who actually cares about me. And I thank you for that in both of those worlds in which you live. For, for truth, you are a winning woman. And I'm going to give you the word that I love to use, and you're she nominal. So thank you for being on the Winning Women Talk Show.
Thank you for having me.
And for those of you who have spent time with Mary and I tonight, we want to thank you as well. If you enjoyed this talk show tonight, we invite you to participate or view some of the other things that are going on Monday nights. You can be part of a show called Talk Time with Robert G. Brown. Talk Time deals with issues that are national, international, current affairs, hot topics, headline news, things that are aggravating you right now, and things that are making you happy. So tune in on Monday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. with Robert Brown for the Talk Time Talk Show. But And when it comes to music, we've got lots of things every night from 10 to 2 p.m., 2 a.m., 10 o'clock p.m. to 2 a.m. Smooth jazz to help you fall asleep. Read that book, fall asleep to the smooth sounds of jazz. On Saturdays, it's Oldies Day all day long on RGB Internet Radio. But from 5 to 7, you can call in and to DJ Bobby B. And his show is called Let's Go Back. And you can ask for those oldie favorites, and he'll play them for you. And on Sunday morning at 6:30 a.m. to 8:30, you can be able to get a hallelujah good time worship going on before you enter your house of worship on Sunday service for Sunday Morning Glory with Bishop Robert G. Brown. I'm Regina Shearer, your host for Winning Women. See you same time, same place next week with a different woman. Have a great week, and remember, love somebody. We're out of here. Thanks for joining us this night.